So just to give you an example of how his strategy plays out, let's say he finds an asset, right? Now he's a very tough, hard negotiator because he's cheap. He's so cheap that people that try to sell stuff to him, he makes them uncomfortable with how low he asks for prices. But he pushes until he gets what he wants. And a lot of people don't like dealing with him, but he makes millions. You know what I mean? So he'll get an asset. He tends to like to go after very expensive assets that are worth millions of dollars because there's less people that he can negotiate with him. You know what I mean? If you go after cheap assets, you got a lot of people bidding. It's gonna be hard to get anything lower than 60%. He goes for like multi-million-dollar assets, right? So let's say he gets an asset for $500K, right? He buys the asset for $500,000, but he negotiated so hard, the asset is actually worth $1.25 million, right? So he got it for $500K, but it's actually worth $1.25 million. So obviously, if you divide 500,000 by 1.25, obviously that's 40%, right? So he'll get the asset for 40 cents on the dollar. So he got it for 40%. Basically, it's worth this much, but he bought it for this much. So instead of him selling that asset for 1.25 million, which he can do and make a killing, what he does is he goes to the bank and he tells the bank, hey, I want to refi this asset. Refi means refinance. I want to refinance this asset. And what the bank is going to do is the bank is going to give him 75% of the value. You know, he done bought it, he done stabilized it, whatever the case is. He done did whatever he had to do to get it to a point where the bank is happy giving him the refinance, right? So the bank says, okay, so it's worth 1.25 million. I'm going to give you 75%, which is 937.5, right? So they're going to give you $937,500 right here. That's what the bank's going to write him a check for. Now, obviously, he has to pay off the $500K because he borrowed that money too. So even if he pays off the full $500K that he got it for, the bank gave him a check for $937. He has to pay off the $500K. He's still left with $437,500. So he gets a check from the bank. He's never had to sell it. He gets to keep the asset. Bank writes him a check for $437,000 in his pocket. So he pockets that. That's $437,000, right? Huge play. But check this out. He gets to keep the asset, right? And he rents it out. So he puts a tenant in the asset. And after all expenses, the tenant pays him, after all expenses, so after he pays the mortgage, after he pays everything, he's being left over with $600 every single month in the green. $600 in the green, right? So on top of getting the big old check for $437, he making 600 times 12. That's an additional $7,200 every single year. And he can also write it off. He can also write the deal off for taxes and depreciation. So he's dipping, he's triple, quadruple dipping, right? He done got the money out of it. Boom, $437,000. Okay, he got a tenant. Okay, he making $600 a month passively, right? So he's sitting on close to $500,000, making $600 passively. The asset continues to appreciate, and he gets to write off taxes. Hey, thank you for watching this video. If you want to book a one-on-one mentorship call with me, click the link in the bio. Whether you make less than $200,000, you need help getting there, or you make more and you want to jump into real estate investing, click the link in the bio, book a call with me ASAP.